and take a walk through the Waterfall Garden and the 55-mile-an-hour garden here at Garden Crossings. Hi, I'm Heidi, and it is a beautiful summer day today, and you can see the flowers are just putting on such a beautiful, colorful show. So let's talk about some of the plants that we've used in this year's display gardens, talk about what's working. Maybe if there's a few things that aren't working, we'll talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and take a walk through the gardens. Right now I am standing at the top of the Waterfall Garden, kind of giving you a different perspective of this garden space. Usually we go around the perimeter and talk about it that way, which we're going to do again today, but I thought it might be neat to just see this bed from kind of the upper levels of the waterfall. So this waterfall has been here since we bought the place over 20 years ago. We've kind of redid it a few times to how it currently is working. And with the latest change of the waterfall, we made a dry waterfall pond there at the end. We put that spitting rock at the end, and the water is all falling into a reservoir, but as you can see, there is no standing water at the bottom. That just kind of keeps this a little bit cleaner and more manageable for us. So what did we use in the Waterfall Garden this year? Up at the top, we have these beautiful Sunfinity sunflowers, and I just love how these sunflowers look. Really, we don't have to do any deadheading on them. They handle the really hot sun that is given to them, as well as a lot of wind. So as you see here, we are located in the middle of a bunch of cornfields, and the wind just whips from the west across the road and really does a beating on a lot of our gardens. So when we're planting, it's important to remember, what things can handle the wind, especially some of these more taller upright plants. I love these beautiful double blooms, and this is also a wonderful plant for attracting the pollinators into this garden bed. As you can see, looking down, the waterfall splits into two, let's just call them sections, or two rivers. In the middle there is a planting of sun patience along with diamond frost euphorbia. That's always been kind of a tricky area here in the bed because sometimes if the water goes off track, it could get really wet there in the center. But also too, if our sprinklers aren't working, it can get really dry. You can see this year we've got it pretty much dialed in, and those sun patience and diamond frost are just loving it in the center there of the bed. We've got some of the Selenia yellow begonias, and you can see they're in full sun and are doing just fantastic. The waterfall is lined with sun patience as well, and we just love using the sun patience because they give such a vibrant splash of color to this particular area in the garden. Although I say that, we use those in a lot of the areas of our garden. We've got a pergola here, and on either side of the pergola we have some hanging baskets. These are on drip irrigation, so we don't have to come out here and haul a hose all the time. They are on drippers. And we have the new Tierra Pink Supertunias in here, along with the Superbenia, I think that's the Rose, Rosé. And that too is doing really nice. You can see both of, this one you can see how it's a little bit wind whipped from this direction. But let's get to the other side and you can see just how gorgeous it is. We also have our pergola up here, and we have the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry, along with some of the big leaf vine that you can see kind of draping through the slots there. Many people have asked, how do we do this? How do you water up there? Well, basically, let's take a look from the underneath side. There are drippers that run into window boxes. So we have window boxes that are set between every other slot. And in those, where you see that wood there, that's a window box sitting in there. And the drippers go into those window boxes to keep these boxes all dripped. By the end of the summer, we'll see no sunlight because those Supertunias will have grown together to create just a beautiful mat of color. So it's kind of a fun area that we've planted for several years, and it looks pretty from a distance seeing all of those petunias up there. We're going to head on around the back side now and take a look at our Tough Stuff hydrangea. It's just loaded with buds. Not blooming quite yet. There's a few little flowers that are starting, but just look at that incredible bud coverage. So this is hardy here in our zone 6A garden, and you can just see all of those buds, how they've overwintered. And this is going to be our first cycle of blooms. So we should get another cycle of blooms later on this summer as well. But this is going to be just a massive ball of beauty when it starts blooming. We have the incredible hydrangeas blooming right now. We love the incredibles because they have really strong stems and really large flowers, and they're just a welcoming sign to the July garden. Some Daisy May leucanthemum, which is a great reblooming leucanthemum. We get this nice canopy, and then basically we'll either trim it or they'll bury their dead and send up another round later on in the season. We do have some Supertunia bubble gum just kind of tucked in to fill in the gaps here on the back side of the garden. And you can see what a massive color they give. The salvia are just about done blooming, so we should come back out here and get these all trimmed back so that way we can enjoy them blooming again later on in the season. We had talked about the Sonic Bloom Pink Weigela and how gorgeous it is when it blooms in the spring. And it is putting on new growth right now. And this is going to be just loaded with flowers again, probably in about a month or so. So this is part of that reblooming Weigela family, and it is just a wonderful bloomer. Usually we'll get about 3 cycles of blooms on that throughout the summer. We've got some Rebecca. This is, I think, Becky, one of the old varieties. And you can see how the habit is different than what the Daisy May was. It's a lot taller and not quite as much of a canopy of color as what the Daisy May had. Some more of the incredible hydrangeas, just looking, as their name implies, incredible. Here we've got some incredible, I think this is the ruby, and this hasn't started blooming yet, but it's close to opening. We'll take a closer look there at the flower buds. And you can see, even though they're not open yet, they still are putting on quite a lot of show just in its bud stage. Leucanthemum, Daisy May. See that? That's just a massive, massive show of color. As we make our way around towards the front of the garden bed, we have the Invincible Spirit hydrangeas. And these two are not quite open yet. The blooms are there, or the buds are there, waiting to fully open up into blooms. But again, you can see the color that they give off, even though they're not fully open yet. We've got more of the Sun Patience, and that's just a huge, massive color as we make our way around the garden bed. It's been extremely hot here lately, so we've had to do some supplemental watering, and I didn't realize the sprinkler was on. So I do apologize. I'm gonna have to step back a little bit further away from the garden than I was hoping. But we're just having to kind of supplement these beds because they are starting to get a little bit wilted. Not only has it been really hot, it's been windy as well. And when it's hot and windy, that makes it really hard to get the landscape watered well. It's not quite as windy today, so fortunately the water is more effective. Right there by the base of the sprinkler, there's a bunch of lavender. That is the Sweet Romance lavender, and that's looking really nice paired with the pink of the Sun Patience. We've got cherry cordial begonias, the deep dark foliage with the red blooms. And I love how that pops in the garden. One of the questions was, does red and pink look good together? And I think the answer is yes, it does. Before we continue around the Waterfall Garden, we're going to take a quick spin around and check out the 55-mile-an-hour garden. So the 55-mile-an-hour garden is, just as it implies, a garden that has to stop these cars in their tracks as they are flying by at 55 miles an hour. Now, if you're driving past and you can't tell that we're a garden center, let's just do a quick little pan here. There would have to be probably something wrong with you anyways, because it's such a flurry of color. But in case you don't miss, or in case you miss all of that and don't see that there is a lot going on here, this chunk of the garden bed, with it being just a mass planting of color, is certainly something that's going to turn your head. And if it doesn't, you shouldn't be driving. So here we have the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry. I love Jazzberry. In the past, we've done bubblegum here, which is another great choice. But there's something about the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry that really has had me hooked since the first day that I had seen it. And I am just absolutely in love. We have it planted with a Macedonia gold dust, which is that vibrant yellow splash of color. And I think those two colors are so complementary to each other. As summer goes on, behind the fence, we have some sunflowers planted, along with some meteor showers verbena. And my goal is that hopefully these will get as tall as the fence so that they'll kind of create like a background border to this little area. If not, that's fine. They still look good as you're walking through the North Garden there. So if you're looking for show-stopping color, really any of the Supertunia Vistas will do the trick. But my favorite is the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry. So a few years ago, we planted a mass planting of white wands, Veronica white wands. And it's right there at the top of that little rock platform. And it is just beautiful. I love the spiky white blooms. And of course, white is a great color because it matches everything. And white is a good accent in the garden, especially for nighttime color. It just really kind of glows and illuminates in the garden. So here we're looking at the waterfall now from the bottom up. And you can just see what a beautiful array of color these plants are creating. Heading around, we have a little bit of shade here. So in the shade, we have the Ligularia tractor seat, which is just a big leafy Ligularia. We also have some Nepeta, and then again, more of those begonias that are just so beautiful. So last year was the first year that we used these begonias, and we were very pleased with how they looked. So sometimes when you find something that works well, you repeat it because it's just too good not to show again. As you're seeing here on these sun patients up front, they are showing signs of being thirsty. So they've lost a little bit of their flowers. They got a little bit wilted. So we got out and threw some extra water at them, and they've perked back up, but now they'll have to kind of put on those flowers again. But that's okay. I mean, they're still doing a good job showing a lot of color in this garden bed. Making our way around, we have again more of what we've seen, the sun patients, the begonias, and then we also have some surefire white begonias in here as well. A lot of the plants in this garden were nipped by the frost around Memorial Day, so they're still kind of in recovery mode. They're definitely doing well, but you can see signs on them of the cold damage, and especially the begonias. They're kind of a little bit shorter. They're not as full as what they normally would be this year. We're also seeing like some browning on the leaves, which is fine. That's not going to go away, but it will put on new growth and it'll cover up that browning within no time. So just something that happens if you plant and then get some frost. The same true is of that lime thyme coleus in the background. Those also got nipped by the frost, and they do not like cold weather. So they're regenerating, putting on more growth, a little bit shorter than we would want this time of year, but they're going to be fantastic as the summer keeps going along. We have some Pennisetum rubrum grass in there, and that's just kind of added in for motion. That's an annual grass, so we do have to plant that every year. But the thing I like about it is it's quick to send up its flower plumes, so it's quick to add a lot of motion. Just beyond that is a hedgerow of the daylily going bananas. So that will be a bunch of yellow flowers as the summer goes on. And then just behind those, you're seeing little mounds. Those are the butterfly bush blue chip junior. So this garden space, when we planted it, we had to keep in mind, what is it going to look like not only from the road, but also from the inside of the garden if somebody is walking through the path there. So this is really July, August, when a lot of those things start to put on their show of color. And we'll make our way around. Here's Itea, little Henry. Look at it putting on its beautiful little flower spikes. This is a great shrub because not only does it do these flowers, but it also gets fantastic fall foliage. So this is kind of a twofer plant with the summer flower and then the fall intense orange and red foliage. We have a lot of hardy hydrangeas in here as well. This is going to be Firelight, but this is going to bloom later on this summer. And that's one nice thing when we're using the panicle hydrangeas and also the arborescent hydrangeas is that we're really staggering our hydrangea blooms throughout the summer just based off of when they bloom. So typically the panicles bloom a little bit later in the summer, where the arborescents bloom earlier in the summer. As you can see, the Daisy May just continues to put on just a gorgeous show of color. Thank you for walking through the garden with me today. If you have any questions or comments on any of the plants that we've seen, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. And if you're new to our channel, I welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.